Halloween on
Jiminy Crickets.
Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'm a happy-go-lucky fellow, always getting in wrong for singing my song. A merry old soul am I. Jiminy Cricket is the name. I'll be hanging around this evening. I'll be tipping my hat and telling you that Jiminy Cricket is the name.
Hello, ghosts, ghouls, and goblins. It's our annual Halloween episode of Dateline Jiminy Crickets. Well, last year it was Jiminy Crickets Live, but this year we're not even live. Hi, Ruthie, the ghost hostess with the mostest. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Oh, you scared me.
Well, 'tis the season.
Well, since you asked, I'm doing spooktacular. Okay, enough of that. We have, well, first of all, before we get started, I want to mention, in case you haven't heard already, that we are now doing our Dateline Jiminy Cricket show once a month. And the shows will usually come out at the end of the month. And for the most part, we'll be talking about all of the news that happened over the course of the month that we're in. So we're going to sort of go over all of the news that happened over October, but we also are going to do a little bit of a preview of the holiday season, which in Disney World and Disneyland happens like the day after Halloween. So
Yeah, basically.
since we're not going to have another episode till the end of November, we sort of wanted to get you ready for Christmas. So this is going to be sort of the Nightmare Before Christmas episode. We're having a little bit of Halloween and a little bit of Christmas all wrapped together.
Oh, I like that.
So before we get started, we have a very special announcement. Dateline Jiminy Crickets proudly endorses Concierge Vacation Planners, a Disney-authorized specialty vacation planning service. Concierge doesn't just book your trip, they walk you through the entire process, helping you plan out every detail, one-on-one, to make the very most out of your vacation while saving you both time and money. And the best part is, they charge nothing for their services. You will get the exact same pricing as if you booked your vacation directly through Disney. But in using Concierge expertise, you've got the added bonus of having your very own personal Disney Guru planner by your side. Both Ruthie and I are also satisfied customers, and we just can't recommend them enough. Visit their website at www.concierge.com. That's www.concierge.com, as in mouse ears. So when you book your next Disney vacation, be it Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line, or many of the other Disney destinations available worldwide, contact Concierge Vacation Planners, and be sure to tell them Disney Chris sent you. Well, we're going to do another Disney Top 10, and this one is going to have a Halloween theme, since Halloween is happening in a couple days. And you might even be listening to this after Halloween, because we're going to release this the day before Halloween, so you might not have caught it in time. But regardless, this topic can sort of carry over to any time of the year, because what we're going to talk about is the top 10 scariest Disney movies of all time. And we had a criteria that it had to be a official Walt Disney movie. So nothing Touchstone, nothing Hollywood Pictures, nothing Fox, which technically is owned by Disney now, because if we opened it up to Fox, we would never be able to do this list. And then nothing Pixar. So it's either has to be a live action or animated official Walt Disney movie. So we made a list of 10, and let's see if you all, watching and listening, agree with our list. So, Ruthie, why don't you go first? What was the first one on our list?
So our number 10 Disney scariest film is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And this is, the classic story of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. And we really picked this one because of that scene at the end when Ichabod is being chased by the Headless Horseman, because that scene is so scary.
Yeah, the most of the short is pretty, fun and silly. It doesn't really get scary till the end. And it should be mentioned that this originally comes from a package film called Ichabod, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Mm-hmm. The first half is the story of Wind in the Willows, and the second half is Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And it's interesting because there's been many adaptations, including the Johnny Depp version. Mm-hmm. And from what I've gathered and what I've heard, the Disney version is probably the closest to the original source material. They kept it pretty faithful, which is unusual for Disney. They usually take a lot of liberties with their retelling of classic stories, but in this case they stayed pretty faithful. So even though that chase sequence at the end does have some light comedy type moments, overall it's pretty creepy. Especially, I feel like before the Headless Horseman even shows up is the scariest part.
When he's in the woods.
Yeah, and he hears all the sounds, and he keeps getting startled by things, and even
an owl. And
the crickets that go, Ichabod, Ichabod, Ichabod. And then there's a owl that goes by that goes, beware, beware, beware. It's all, or maybe that was a raven. And once the Headless Horseman shows up, it gets sort of funny again. But not... it's still, there are a couple moments even during that are pretty creepy. Like, there's one moment where he looks down his neck. Yeah. Where his head is missing, and you don't get to see, but from the reaction you see on Ichabod's face, it wasn't a pleasant thing to see. Right. What was down there. But yeah.
No, and the way it ends, too. You don't know what happened to Ichabod.
Right, it's a mystery, which I think is how the book ends, too. It sort of leaves it open for, there's several different ways you can look at it. I always thought that it was Brom Bones dressed up as the Headless Horseman scaring him away. But then when he looks down his neck and sees something, that sort of says to me maybe it wasn't Brom Bones. Right. Or maybe he looked down the neck and saw that it was Brom Bones in the costume, and then he really got freaked out that Brom Bones was doing this to him. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. They leave it open. I kind of like that.
Yeah. So the next one is probably lesser known, but Ruthie and I grew up with this one.
Yeah.
And it can get pretty creepy at times. I feel like there's a sequel that came out a couple years after, and I don't feel that one is nearly as scary as the original. Escape to Witch Mountain is the story of two orphans who are brother and sister, and they don't remember where they come from, and they come to figure out through different telekinesis and things. They have these unexplained magical powers where they can communicate with animals, they can make things levitate, they can read each other's minds. It turns out that they're from outer space, and they colonized on planet Earth in a strange mountainous area called that the locals, because of all the strange going on, sort of dubbed it Witch Mountain. So it's the story of them trying to escape to get back to their people and all the adventures they have along the way. And it's really creepy. And it's, I think to me, the creepiest scene is when they're in the jail and they make the raincoat come to life to scare the sheriff. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, that always creeped me out as a kid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creepy moments in this movie.
Because you don't know what the backstory is until obviously the end.
Yeah, and they keep having these strange visions. And you see like the shadows of the past. It's just very strange. I listened to the audiobook of the original story of this, and it isn't very different either. It's pretty close to the source material. Of course, the sequel was completely a Disney thing, but the original is really close. And the name of the book is the same, Escape to Witch Mountain. It's a really good book. I listened to it. I think one of the major differences with the book is Tia, the girl, can't talk. The only way she communicates is by telekinesis with Tony. But Tony could talk, but she didn't. She was mute. So that was one major difference. But very similar. Yeah. So, what's the next one, Ruthie?
The next one is your favorite Disney animated film, Pinocchio. And we picked this one because this has a lot of creepy scenes and some really scary villains. There's multiple scary villains. Like Stromboli is really scary. The coachman is really scary. Yeah. And, even the attraction, like the way that the attraction takes you and how you meet these different villains, they're really scary. Yeah. And, it's just not something that you would want to be involved in if you were Pinocchio. So. And
not to mention the other villain, Monstro.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Oh, he's terrifying.
Right. I know, getting stuck in the belly of a whale. Come on, I don't want that.
So, I think, to me, the scariest scene is inside the pool hall when Lampwick transforms into a donkey. Because it's done so real. Like, it's the way someone would really react if that was happening to them. Like, it's panic. It's like, if you started turning into a donkey, how would you act? You'd probably act the same way. Like, what is happening to me? Right. And it's really creepy. And then
it is creepy
when you see the donkeys talking and saying, "I want my mommy," and all that. I mean, it's just so creepy.
Oh, and that's sad too. Yeah.
And that one scene in the bar when they're plotting to collect the boys, and the coachman says, "Well, they don't come back as boys," and his face glows, like his eyes get huge, and oh, that was so scary. And then Stromboli, when he says, "I'm gonna chop you up into firewood." Oh, there's so many creepy scenes. I mean, people don't think of Pinocchio as a scary movie, really, but when you think about it, there's a lot of creepy things in this movie.
Yeah. Pretty much the majority of the film is really creepy, and he just keeps getting into really bad situations over and over again.
Right. So the next one is really it's one segment, but I was thinking about this the other day, and there's really another segment that's pretty creepy too. And that would be the Rite of Spring with the dinosaurs. That has some pretty creepy moments, but really the reason why we picked this is, of course, and this is Fantasia from 1940. The main reason that you would pick this as the scariest is because of the Night on Bald Mountain sequence with Chernabog, who I always thought was actually the devil. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like it.
Yeah, so he's up on top of this mountain, and at midnight he looks like he's the top of the mountain, but he unfurls his wings and it reveals it's a creature living on top of the mountain peak, and he summons all of the dead in the graveyard to come to raise and come to life, and they sort of have a ritual that happens, and it's really creepy and surprising Disney went there. I've always been just shocked that Disney really went there. They even depict some nudity in this scene. Just brief little flashes, but I mean, they really went there. They didn't hold back. For 1940, certainly not. And it's often cited as being some of the most technically advanced hand-drawn animation that's ever been done, and it's never really been topped. So it's a creepy scene. Even
it definitely is, yeah.
Even though Fantasia, for the most part, isn't a creepy movie, this scene alone just brings it there.
No, it is creepy enough that it deserves a place on this list.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what's the next one, Ruthie?
The next one is Disney's first full-length animated film, The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and of course, the Wicked Queen in her beginning and end state is just so creepy and so scary. I mean, the scene when she transforms from her beautiful self to her quote-unquote ugly self, I mean, it's creepy and crazy, and and the length that she goes to just to, get back at Snow White, just for her beauty. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
She definitely has psychological issues.
Well, the magic mirror sequence at the beginning is really creepy.
Yep.
The forest scene where she's running through the forest.
Yes, with the trees and stuff. Yeah,
that's creepy. When the witch does the spell and changes, like you said, but then when she reveals her face, like she has she's covering her face and she lowers her cloak. I mean, it doesn't scare us anymore because we know what she looks like. But you can imagine back in 1937 when people weren't sure what she looked like and she pulled down that cloak. That must have been really creepy. Really, almost like a jump scare. In fact, the Raven, who's watching all of this, sort of loses himself and falls over when she shows his face.
Right,
her face.
That's true, yeah.
And then the scene where she confronts Snow White with the poison apple is very creepy. The scene where she makes the poison apple, and then the final chase scene where she falls over the cliff and dies.
Oh yeah.
There's so many. I mean, when people think about Snow White, they think the first things that come to mind are the dwarfs and Snow White cleaning the cottage and the prince and all these happy things. But if you think about it, this is a horror movie. Right. I mean, it's got a lot of creepy stuff in it.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next one is our first live action one. We have a few live action ones on the list, and this is the first one.
Well, we had Escape to Witch Mountain.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so this is our second live action. So this is the Black Hole, and this is sort of a space-age version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's how I always thought of it. Now, the reason this one is so creepy to me is because part of the plot is that I forget, he's the Nemo type figure. I forget the name of the character in the movie, but he's sort of the equivalent to Captain Nemo. He actually had all of the humans on his spacecraft turned into basically mindless drones and put coverings over their faces so that they appear to be robots. And then it's revealed later that all of these droids are basically walking dead humans that have had their brains scrambled. So they just take orders now from. And there's one scene in the movie where they're trying to do the same thing to the female visitor, and it's really creepy. And then there's another character called Maximilian, who's this huge, red, ominous-looking robot with these red, beaming eyes that sort of remember Kit from Knight Rider, how it sort of scans back and forth. And he ends up killing one of the main characters, which I think is the first on-screen death in a Disney film that wasn't animated. The first live-action on-screen death murder in a Disney movie. He has these rotating, blades, and he pushes them into one of the main characters, who was played by the guy that was Norman Bates. What's his name? The actor that played Norman Bates. He's one of the people, and he kills him. They don't show any of the blood, they don't show any of it. They just show Anthony Perkins.
Yes, I know it was Anthony, yeah.
They just show his face while he's dying, and you hear the blades, and they're going... And then at the end, they bring you into the black hole, and there's a whole scene, and it's almost like the inside of the black hole is like hell. And there's fire and volcanoes, and the Captain Nemo type character ends up becoming metamorphosized with the robot Maximilian. They become one and the same. It's really creepy.
Ugh.
It's really terrifying.
Yikes.
And it's the first PG-13... Or actually, they didn't have PG-13. It's the first PG Disney movie ever.
Well, it sounds like it would have been PG-13
Well,
if they
it would
had
have been
that.
if they had it, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of PG, what's the next one, Ruthie?
The first animated film that was rated PG, which is The Black Cauldron.
Right.
Now, it has been a while since I've seen this, but I remember seeing it when I was younger, and I remember it being really dark and just really scary.
It was so dark they had to edit out part of it because they felt it was too much for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm surprised they went this dark with the animated film.
Disney was at a point where they were trying to figure out how to appeal to a mass audience because people were thinking Disney was cute and they weren't taking Disney seriously at this time. If you ever seen the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty, it really goes through all of that. So this was them sort of making an attempt to be more, I don't know, adult-oriented.
Edgy.
And it really didn't work. It was unsuccessful. I don't know if it would have been successful had they pushed it further and not been afraid and not cut out all those scenes that they didn't include. But really, when you're watching this movie, you can tell where it was cut. It wasn't done very well. It's got some really choppy moments in it, and it's really noticeable. And there's a whole sequence where the whole point of the Black Cauldron is it's supposed to bring to life all of these dead beings that will form an army so that the Horned King, depicted in this picture, can take over the world. And they call them the Cauldron Born. And it's this army of skeleton-like figures that come to life. And there was going to be this whole really macabre sequence with the Cauldron Born that was going to be about a 10-minute sequence, and they chopped it down to like 2 minutes because they just were too afraid to show all of this. It was very graphic and not what people would expect from Disney. But I don't know, had they not been afraid to not do what people expect of Disney, would this movie have been more successful? Who's to say? All that footage, as far as I know, is completely lost too.
Really?
They didn't even keep it. They just got rid of it. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they could just throw away movie footage, like with the bed knobs and broomsticks, how they lost the whole step in the right direction sequence. I just don't get it. How could
I don't get that either.
Don't they want to preserve it in case they need it in the future? They didn't think that far ahead back then. Anyway, the next one is one that really creeped me out as a kid, and that's Return to Oz, which is sort of a sequel to The Wizard of Oz, but Disney was given strict rules about not being able to be too close to the MGM version for fear of being sued. So even though they owned the rights to Return to Oz, they weren't allowed to really mirror too much of the MGM musical. they did do a few things. They did take a few liberties, and they did get in a little bit of trouble for it. For example, in the original book, whatever you want to call it, the shoes that Dorothy wears were silver. It was MGM that turned them into ruby slippers. And I think one of the reasons is it was going to be a Technicolor movie, and they wanted to have a more vivid, exciting color involved than just silver. So when Disney made their version, they included the ruby slippers, which was an MGM invention, not in the book. So they got in a little bit of heat over that. I guess they sort of made amends and things calmed down, and that's how the whole Disney MGM studio collaboration was sort of happening, as they sort of came to an agreement at that point. So nothing really ever happened. But I remember there's a little bit of a difficulty. But anyway, there are several very creepy moments in this film. You're looking at one of them. This is the this Gnome King, and throughout the whole movie, he can travel through rocks, and you see him like traveling through rocks and sort of observing Dorothy through the whole movie, and it's all done through claymation. And eventually they end up in his castle, and this is how he looks when he's fully, metamorphosized into his real self, and he's all made of rocks, and he puts them to a challenge to try to figure out. They have to go into this room and select the object that he turned the scarecrow into. And if they pick the wrong object, they'll turn to stone. So they each take a turn picking an object, and they guess wrong. And then Dorothy picks the correct one, and it's the scarecrow, and he comes back to life. And the Gnome King gets so mad, and his whole castle goes on fire. It's really creepy. Wow. It's really creepy. And then there's another scene with this I think her name is Mombi, and she has taken over the Emerald City, and she has this whole closet filled with heads. They're heads. Ew. They're living heads, and she can switch her head. Ooh. So she can look different. Like, she can look pretty, or she can look, she can put on her actual head, or it's like a whole closet full of heads. And they're all, and if there's a sudden noise, they'll all open their eyes and look shocked. It's really creepy. There's a lot of really dark elements to this movie.
Yeah, and this was made around the same time as Black Cauldron, right?
Yeah, and it was the same period where Disney was trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
And speaking of edgy...
Yes.
How about this one?
The next film is Something Wicked This Way Comes. This was, again, like a 80s film. So,
yeah, 83, so just a couple of years before.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the first half of the 80s, Disney was really experimenting with some creepy things, and this is definitely one of those films that they were experimenting with.
And this was by Ray Bradbury, by the way.
And I think I heard he didn't like the adaptation.
I haven't heard that, but I'm not. I wouldn't know. I mean, I like it, but I don't. I could see him not liking it. I'm not sure. Yeah.
So this is pretty creepy. Basically, it's about two boys who live in a town, and a circus comes to town or like a carnival circus kind of a thing, comes to town one night. In the middle of the night, it just shows up.
Yeah.
And then basically, yes, who you see in this picture right here with the top hat, it's his, Pandemonium Circus or something like that. Right. And, of course, they're extremely curious about this circus. And so they're checking it out, and they go into this tent, and it's a merry-go-round, but it says it's closed. So, being, curious little boys, they go under the tent, and they see the merry-go-round, but they also see Mr. Dark there with one of his employees, and they discover why the merry-go-round is closed, and it's because it's actually kind of like a time machine, where if it goes forward, it can make you older, and if it goes backwards, it can make you younger.
Yeah.
So they actually see Mr. Dark turn one of his employees, who's probably, in his 40s, back to a little boy of maybe like the age of 8.
Yeah.
And so they kind of come into this town and they kind of just start taking people from the town.
They give people their wishes, but it's the whole thing where you be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Like, for example, there's one lady that wished to be young and beautiful again, and he granted her wish, but then made her blind. So she couldn't see how she looked anymore. So it didn't matter that she was young and beautiful, because she couldn't see herself. So it was like, it was all this irony. Like they'd get their wish, but then he'd do something in return that would make their wish, like, void, or not really what they wanted. And at the end of the movie, the way they defeat, spoiler alert for a 35-year-old movie, the way they defeat Mr. Dark is they get him caught on the merry-go-round, and he's going forward, and he gets older and older, and he gets old, and he falls apart, he becomes a skeleton, and it's really creepy.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
some
creepy things.
Too.
There's a lot of creepy things. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of creepy things in here because there's a scene where they're walking through the town. They're carrying two child-sized coffins, looking for these boys. Yeah. Basically, it's like a death threat.
And when he's looking for them, he goes up to one of their father, and he has a tattoo of the face of each of the boys on his hands. I'm looking for this boy and this boy. It's like, oh, that's creepy.
It's really creepy. Yeah, there's a lot of creepy things in that film.
So, our number one is Bette Davis in Watcher in the Woods. Now, my first choice was going to be Something Wicked This Way Comes, but I was outvoted by Ruthie and by a friend of the show and co-host of our commentaries, Brian Crawford. He and Ruthie both felt this was the creepier of the two. So I was outvoted, and this is the number one scariest Disney movie of all time, Watcher in the Woods. Bette Davis is creepy anyways. But
just looking at her, I mean, she instantly gives you the creeps. But the one thing about this movie is, so the creeps just start from the beginning, because even in, like, when they're doing the credits and in the beginning of the film, they're using these really creepy camera angles to make it look like you are in the trees and in the woods, and you're
like
peeking
autumn
out.
And the wind is blowing all the leaves, and it's just really,
They really use the camera to really just put that little fear in you from the beginning. And then you meet Bette Davis, and you're like, whoa, she's just staring at the blonde girl. She just creepily stares at her and doesn't say anything. And you're like, why is she looking like that? So, I mean, the creeps just continue all the way to the end of this film. And it's really scary. And I actually have like a story. Back when I was in elementary school, I went to a friend's house and for a slumber party. I don't think it was around Halloween, but they decided to play this film, and I could not sit and watch the whole thing because it was too creepy to me. So this is definitely my most scary Disney film.
Well, that brings us to our number one, and it is now time for the Disney news.
From the far corners of the earth, from across the seven seas, the news of the day for the leaders of tomorrow. The Mickey Mouse Newsreel, dedicated to you, the leaders of the 21st century.
So, since we're going to do the shows once a month now, we decided that we're going to try and see how this works, splitting up the news into 3 or 4 categories, depending on, what's going on that month. And we're going to split it up into Disney Parks, the Disney Studio, which is movies, Disney Plus. Eventually we might phase that one out, as Disney Plus sort of isn't as exciting anymore. I think for the time being, because it's launching this month coming up, it's sort of going to be in everybody's mind. But I think over time we might sort of move that stuff over to the studio category, just if anything new is happening that's being created by the Disney Studio for Disney Plus, we'll just sort of incorporate it into that section. But for now, we'll keep them separate because it is sort of the new in thing that's happening. And then we'll have a ending topic, which sort of is all the other type of stories that don't fall into any of the other categories, and we're going to call it This and That. So we'll end with This and That at the end of each episode. So first we're going to talk about the Disney parks, and the first Disney resort that we're going to talk about is the Walt Disney World Resort, and specifically for our parks section this month, we're going to sort of give a holiday preview of all the things that are going to be coming to the parks for the Christmas season 2019. So let's travel over to Animal Kingdom.
Every night here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we have our own pixie dust. It's the fireflies. The fireflies actually live in the tree, and they come out at night. And with their magic, they create stories. Well, this holiday season, we get to see holiday stories that have never been told on this tree, featuring all kinds of animals. And we get to see their stories come to life like never before.
We have so many different teams that come together through the creative process, through the production process, and finally getting the show out in front of our guests. And sometimes that process can take up to a year.
Tonight we have our first chance to see some of this new material. But we get to see it bloom and blossom and come to life on this gorgeous tree behind us. So we're excited.
So, I told you it was going to be sort of a ambidextrous episode today. We just finished talking about Halloween and we're already talking about Christmas. So, I think, I don't know if Animal Kingdom ever really did much for the holidays before now. But apparently they're going all out this year. Not only are they doing that special thing for the Tree of Life, which is basically what they do all year, but they're doing a new sort of a holiday overlay of it with new animation and new projections that are specific to the holiday season. Probably new music as well. But they're also kind of decking out the rest of the park from what I've been reading. They're going to have every land decorated, and I guess it'll somehow tie into the theming of that area. And then the main focus will be Discovery Island, where the Tree of Life is located. And they're going to have winter animals and puppets that are sculpted from artisans, and all sorts of wintry type decorations in the trees and on the buildings. And they're gonna especially be beautiful during the nighttime because they're gonna illuminate. Here's an example of that, to see sort of how all the different decorations will light up at night, and the Tree of Life, of course, in the distance will be all decked out. Of course, they do this all year with the Tree of Life. I saw it when I went a couple years ago, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and it's not like a show that's announced. It just sort of periodically throughout the evening starts happening, and it's really, really amazing and beautiful. So I'm curious to see how they do it for Christmas.
Yeah, I went to Animal Kingdom in the holiday season in 2017. And when I was at the park, all they had was like a really large Christmas tree in the front entranceway, and that was it. They didn't have any other holiday decorations or anything, so you didn't even feel like it was Christmas time once you passed that tree. Yeah. So I'm really happy that they're really, giving the holiday treatment to this park, because I feel like all of the parks really need to have holiday decorations throughout, not just in the beginning, but throughout the whole thing. And it just really does need to feel very festive. And I really am glad that they're finally doing something with the Animal Kingdom.
Right, and people who are there during the holidays and either they're not going to go to the holiday event at the Magic Kingdom, or they're only going one night. It gives people something to do when Magic Kingdom closes early for those after-hour events. That's still sort of holiday and festive, and even though they do something at Epcot too, it just gives you more options. So we like more options.
Definitely, yes.
So over at Magic Kingdom, they're going to do something new this year, and this was actually reported back in July, but we thought we would wait to mention it until it got closer to the holiday. And we really haven't heard anything about it since July, but we assume it's still going to happen. They're going to have a special overlay of several attractions throughout the Magic Kingdom during the after-hour Very Merry Christmas Party events. And one of them is a whole decking out, and I assume that this will be all day, not just during the events. I mean, the decorations are going to be there all day for the Autopia, or what they call the Grand Prix Raceway, or Tomorrowland Speedway. It's gone through so many names.
You're going through all the names.
I know. I used to. Anyway, Tomorrowland Speedway is getting a holiday overlay where I just assume they're going to put Christmas trees and lights and things all along the racetrack. And they're also going to do something with Space Mountain where they're going to have Christmas music during the attraction, which is strange because they don't have the onboard audio system on their Space Mountain, so I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. And then they're going to do an overlay of the Monsters, Inc. attraction, where it's going to they're going to switch it out so that it's a holiday-themed nightclub instead of the regular nightclub that you usually go into. And then what I thought was really interesting and sort of a fun idea is they're going to turn the Mad Tea Party into a Christmas party. So they're probably going to have Christmas music playing while you're spinning around on the teacups. I thought that sounded fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun. And I really hope that the Tomorrowland Speedway looks like this picture with this mid-century modern vibe, because that looks awesome.
Yeah, the pictures always look better than the reality.
I know, right?
Yeah. So then the other thing is they're going to have a brand new fireworks show this year at Magic Kingdom for the holidays, and it's called it's hosted by Minnie Mouse. What's it called, Ruthie? Minnie's
Wonderful Christmas Time Fireworks.
Right, and she's gonna sort of host it. I wonder if Russie Taylor recorded it before she passed away.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I just assume it's going to be sort of the same thing it's been before, but it's going to be hosted by Minnie Mouse, and they'll change out the music and do a few new things. Of course, they always have snow on Main Street. Now, the difference between Walt Disney World and Disneyland is pretty much the Christmas stuff at Disneyland is open to everybody. They don't have any after-hours events. But in Disney World, if you want to celebrate Christmas in the Magic Kingdom, you have to pay extra. So, bah humbug and Merry Christmas to you all. So, speaking of Disneyland, let's sort of talk about what the holiday goings-on are going to be this year in California. And there's not really that much new, but we thought we would just sort of mention what the general activities are at Disneyland and during Christmas. And, of course, at the California Adventure Park, they have a special version of World of Color for the holidays, and it's called World of Color Season of Light. And it's sort of the same show, but again, a lot more red and green lighting and Christmas music and scenes from Disney films that tie into Christmas. I think they show the scene with Bambi ice skating, and that's scenes from Fantasia's Nutcracker and stuff like that, And I also think they show that, Frozen Let It Go.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then also in DCA, they have they sort of honor all different sorts of traditions that go beyond, the American Christmas. They celebrate Christmases that are celebrated in different ways around the world, including they have a Navidad festival for, how they celebrate Christmas in Mexico. They have a Hanukkah festival, a Kwanzaa festival, and then after Christmas they do Three Kings Day, which is something they do in Mexico as well. And then of course Cars Land gets decked out for the holidays, and they have an overlap of the Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, and it becomes Mater's Jingle Jamboree, and Luigi's cars become Luigi's Joy to the World, WHIRL, and they just basically switch out the music and put some Christmas decorations around, but people seem to enjoy that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Now back at the Kingdom, Disneyland, of course, they light up Sleeping Beauty's castle. They did not do it, I think. Was it last year? Because there was something else happened. Oh, I think it was
the renovation.
Yeah, they didn't have it last year because it was under renovation or something. So it's coming back this year, and it's going to be better than ever because of the new refurbished castle. It's going to be extra pretty this year. And they have the Christmas time fireworks, which are called Believe in Holiday Magic. And of course, it wouldn't be Christmas at Disneyland without the annual Christmas parade.
Definitely.
They've been having Christmas parades at Disneyland since the 1950s, so it wouldn't be Christmas without
The one thing about those fireworks is that Believe in Holiday Magic is an awesome show, and it ends with snow.
Right. Yeah. They have like soapy foam
but it's
pumped out.
It's so much fun. Yeah. I mean, I took some friends there once, and it was like one of the first times that they'd ever gone there. And after those fireworks had ended, she had like tears streaming down her face. It's such an emotional and fun experience. So you got to go see those fireworks.
So they had an overlay at the It's a Small World that they've been doing since the 90s, and they basically decorate not just the exterior of the attraction, but the entire interior, and it's a Christmas around the world type thing. They swap out the music for Christmas music, and they put lights all over the It's a Small World facade, and as pretty as it is in this picture, it's even more amazing in person.
Yeah.
And of course, the Haunted Mansion becomes the Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion.
On a mansion holiday.
Right. And this year marks the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. So they've already put out a special gingerbread. They always put a gingerbread house, an elaborate gingerbread house, on the table in the grand the grand ballroom scene. And this year, it's themed for the Haunted Mansion's 50th anniversary. So what you're looking at, that's all edible. That's a giant gingerbread house shaped like the Haunted Mansion with peppermint stick columns. And the publicity blurb said it took them 13 creepy days to create the gingerbread house.
These gingerbread houses are amazing works of art.
Yeah. They really are. So the next thing we're going to talk about, we're sort of done with our Christmas segment. Just a little teaser.
Just to let you know, all that Christmas stuff starts at both parks November 8th.
Right. So Epcot has a new addition that we wanted to talk about back in Florida.
We are so excited to debut the Epcot experience to our guests. This is a preview of all the exciting attractions and entertainment that's coming to Epcot over the next few years.
So the Experience Center is all about guests coming in, being a part of our transformation, seeing what's happening right before their eyes.
We thought, it's Epcot, we have to do it in a unique way, and so we've built this amazing immersive 360 theater with this beautiful 14-foot model in the middle of it. Each of the different vignettes inside the media is a sneak peek or a teaser or a taste of what's to come.
It's about getting inside the artwork and having it come to life in front of their eyes.
From Spaceship Earth to Ratatouille to some of the great enhancements coming to the center of the park, it's all in there, and we can't wait to get the guests in front of it to see what they think.
Really hoping that they feel like they're a part of this transformation with us, and that we go on this journey together, and as we open, they're part of that greater community with us.
So, the Epcot experience is now open at the former Odyssey restaurant location, which is between the World of Motion and the Mexico Pavilion, sort of out on a little island.
Well, it's not World of Motion anymore, it's Test Track, but...
Well, don't they still call it the World of Motion Pavilion with the
I don't
test
think
rock
so.
inside of it? Oh, well.
I
shows
don't
how
think
much-
so.
Yeah, bring back World of Motion and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So this is basically a preview center, but they went a little above and beyond what would be expected as just models and artwork. They created a whole presentation, a whole multimedia presentation with a wraparound 360-degree screen and a model with special projections that light up, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it
for
does.
lack of a better word.
So they actually had this model at the D23 convention, but they
Right.
did not have this screen with all of the projections and stuff going on it.
Right.
So, so this looks really cool. Like, really, it's going to really hype up people for the changes that are coming to Epcot, because you're going to really be able to feel like you're already in it just by going into this experience. So
Yeah.
I think this is really awesome. I'm glad they did something really, top notch to promote all of the changes.
And I hear that they're going to be putting in new 360 screens in the China and the Canada pavilion that are seamless, so they don't have gaps between each screen anymore. And I'm wondering if this is the same technology that
Well,
they're
it
going to be
probably is.
using. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun. Now
Yeah,
the next
so if you're at Epcot now, go check it out.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Disney Studios. We said we were going to do these in categories. So that ends our parks presentation. And now we're going to talk about some happenings at the Disney Studios as far as movies and exciting things happening in Hollywood. And one of the things that Disney has been promoting recently is their new Pixar animated feature, I believe, coming out in March.
Yes,
And
March of
it's-
2020, yeah.
Right, and that's going to be Onward. And they just released a new trailer, which gives away a lot more of the details of the story. So let's watch that, and then we'll come back on the other side and talk about it.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder and magic. But times change.
I'm a mighty warrior!
Morning, Mom. Hey, birthday boy.
By the laws of yore, I must dub thee a man today. Kneel before me.
That's okay. I have a gift from your dad. He just said to give you this when you were both over 16.
No way! It's a wizard staff. Dad was a wizard.
What? Your dad was an accountant.
This spell brings him back. For one whole day, Dad will be back.
What? Back like back to life? That's not possible.
It is with this.
I'm gonna meet Dad.
Whoa, feet!
It's getting harder to hold.
Ah, he's just legs. I definitely remember Dad having a top part.
Oh, what did I do? Hi.
We only have 24 hours to bring the rest of him back.
Until then, ta-da!
Oh, that's great. Dad, you look just like I remember.
You got a problem, Shades?
If it's adventure you seek, you've come to the right tavern.
Oh, no. We might be out of gas.
But it says we have a full tank.
No, that doesn't work. Growth spell. We grow the can, and then the gas inside will grow with it. Elbows up.
I'm trying to focus here.
It worked! The can is huge! And the van is huge! And you're... Oh, no.
So that gave out a few more details about what this movie is going to be about. Before, it seemed like it was just going to be like a DreamWorks fish out of water type movie, you know, like Shark's Tale or whatever. It looked very exciting.
Yeah.
But they sort of gave out a little bit more of the plot, so it seems a lot more unique than what I thought it was going to be originally.
Yeah.
And so, aside from it being a modern, like, what if, you know, the world of warlocks and wizards and elves were in modern day America in the suburbs. Instead of that just being like, and then a series of gags, it's actually got sort of an interesting premise where they bring their dad back for a day and they only have half of his body, and I guess they have to go on an adventure to figure out, they only have 24 hours to figure out how to bring back the rest of them. I saw this picture here before I saw the trailer, and I was utterly like, what is this? This picture,
one here?
Yeah.
With with the leg. Yeah.
With just the bot. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Like, but then when I saw the trailer, it made sense, but I was just like utterly like, what is this about? So, yeah, it looks, I'm a little bit more interested in it now than I was before. How do you feel?
I think that trailer was really funny, so I know there's going to be a lot of good laughing and, you know, really funny jokes and stuff like that. But the other thing that I think, just like typical Pixar films, you know, it's going to have that tearjerker moment at the end. And, you know, so you can kind of see, you know, it's going to be something to do with his dad, because he's saying, I'm going to meet dad. So he's never met his father.
Right.
You know, so then that's definitely going to be, you know, bring your tissues, because this is a Pixar film.
And he's only going to be back for one day, too. And then what's, I have a feeling it's going to happen is he'll come back at the last minute, and he'll only have like a minute to say goodbye to him.
Hopefully not.
I'm already getting choked up thinking about that.
I know, right? That's
that
what they do. That's
disappear.
what Pixar films do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's definitely something that I also kind of could sense from this trailer. But, you know, I'm glad they released a trailer to kind of give a little bit more of the story and, you know, kind of make you interested, because, you know, we didn't know anything about this film before. So.
Well, speaking about trailers, Ruthie, welcome to the jungle!
Legend has it there is a tree in the Amazon that possesses unparalleled healing powers. And the arrowhead is the key to unlocking it.
Stop her!
Hello. Just wanted you to know, this has been mislabeled. He's shipping out, lads?
Of all the jungle cruises you could take in the Amazon, this one is undoubtedly the cheapest. But also the most thrilling. Heads up, coming through. Look out! Marauders. Natives. and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. The backside of water. It's the eighth wonder of the world.
We're headed upriver to Lagrimas de Cristal. We must secure our travel. Come on. Hello?
Not a good time.
My brother and I are looking for passage upriver.
Please go away.
I have a lot of money.
If you believe in legends, you should believe in curses, too. You're gonna beg me to turn back.
Well, I look forward to disappointing you.
10,000 to bring you there alive. Dead is 15,000.
Why should I pay more dead?
Dead, I'd have to carry you. Dead's a lot harder, lady. Here we go.
Oh, God, sorry, Frank.
Sorry, strong form.
I cannot swim.
You booked a river cruise and you can't swim? The price just went up.
The mess is real.
Well, the myth is real. So it's interesting. I didn't think about it, but I guess they're gonna sort of do a play on how the Jungle Cruise is an attraction by having this tour guide do sort of an attraction by adding things to his touristy Jungle Cruise adventure. I guess he has an arrangement with the natives to shoot out poison darts at specific times, and mechanical hippos and the backside of water. So they're replicating the attraction in sort of an interesting way, which I thought was clever and cute. And yeah, I'm turning into a real Emily Blunt fan recently. I enjoy her.
Yeah.
And I think Dwayne, at first when I heard Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I was like, but after seeing the trailer, I get it. So I'm actually somewhat intrigued. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think this trailer really, at least to me, showed the essence of the attraction. It had the humor and but also the adventure. And that's what this attraction is. It's a lot of humor, but there is an adventurous aspect to it as well, and I really like it. And I think that he's a really good person to play this, like, you know, river guide, and I think that they're actually probably going to have really good chemistry together with this this whole adventure.
I can already tell that from the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm getting real African Queen vibes.
Right.
And for those who don't know, African Queen was a 1950 or 51 movie with
Humphrey Bogart?
I almost said Clark Gable. Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. And it sort of is the same dynamic of like this kind of tough griff guy and this sort of proper English lady. So I'm sort of getting that. And it's also takes place in the jungle, and it's on a river boat, and they have all sorts of adventures. So I'm definitely getting that. And what's interesting is that the attraction at Disneyland was actually inspired by the movie The African Queen to some extent. So it's all coming full circle in a way, which is interesting. So this one's not coming out until next summer, right?
July 24th, 2020.
Yeah, so we have a while to wait, but I'm sort of interested. I might want to actually watch this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, let's leave from the jungle and go to a galaxy far, far away.
It's an instinct. A feeling. The Force brought us together. We're not alone.
Good people will fight if we lead them.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
But I do.
Long have I waited. And now, you're coming together. Is your undoing.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir. At my friends.
Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny. The Force will be with you. Always.
Tickets available now.
Yes. Well, actually, they've been available for over a week now, but yeah.
People keep telling me they know me, but no one does. That's my takeaway from that. My little quote from that trailer. Thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So this is the last of the saga of the Skywalker family. A lot of controversy about this movie that we're not going to get into.
No. I mean, people are they break down these trailers, make videos just about this trailer, so.
Well, it's not just the trailer, it's all this drama about Disney reshooting things.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Right.
Take a chill pill, people. It's a movie. Just go enjoy it if you want to. And if you don't want to see it, don't go. But stop complaining. Anyway, I'm one to talk. I complain about everything. But anyway, my takeaways. First of all, does C-3PO really know this new gang that well? He just sort of met them. Why is he so emotional around them? I mean, Chewbacca and R2-D2, yeah, but Rey and her two little Tweedledee and Tweedledum friends, does he really know these three people that much where he's all emotional? Just saying goodbye to my friends. I don't know. I don't get that. Maybe you have to see the movie to understand it. I don't know. That just seems odd. And there's a lot of speculation that somehow C-3PO is going to do something in this movie to sacrifice himself to save the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this is sort of him saying goodbye before he does what he's going to do to save everybody. Like that. Who knows? But that's what people are speculating.
Yeah.
My other takeaway is that they're in the Millennium Falcon, just like the old days. And Chewbacca is in his seat, and she's sort of taken over the seat where Han Solo would traditionally be. So that seems interesting. But what are your takeaways?
So I think that this trailer is pretty much practically a perfect trailer, and here's why. It shows you scenes, it gets you excited, it gets you emotional. It's not really telling you anything about the story. And that's what you want a trailer to be, especially a Star Wars trailer, because you don't want this to be a spoiler trailer. You don't want this trailer to be like the Onward trailer where it told you the story. They need you to show you that kind of a thing for Onward, because we have no idea what it is, and they need to raise your pique your excitement for that Onward trailer. But this, no, they should not reveal anything about the story, and I feel like that's exactly what they did. They showed you very exciting scenes of things happening that you expect to happen in every Star Wars film, lightsaber battles, things like that, riding in the Millennium Falcon, ship battles, they're flying around in space. You see all of that, but you don't know what the story is. You don't know why these people are fighting. So I think this is just a really awesome trailer. I'm very excited to see this. So excited that I already have my tickets for opening day, December 20th. And I also bought tickets for 2 days later. So I'm going to see it twice that weekend. I'm very excited. And, I love Star Wars. And I can't believe that this is the last film in the Skywalker saga. So I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
There's rumors that he's coming back somehow.
Who, Luke?
Luke.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of rumors because they're even rumoring that, Anakin is going to come back in this film. So who knows?
Right. Well, I just have one last thing to say. People keep telling me they know me, but no one does.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward. We're always exploring and experimenting. We call it Imagineering.
Walt set a standard early on with the Imagineers. There was a standard that surprised people, so that they left thinking, wow, how did Disney do that?
This is a dream that started in Anaheim that's traveled the world.
We've come a long way through the years, haven't we? Unbelievable.
There's such a pride in being able to create a place that brings that much happiness to people.
Anytime you take people behind the scenes, you see the imperfections, the trial and error, or the experimentation.
Behind all of these curtains are different projects going on. This is the cutting edge of the technology of Imagineering.
I've heard about it. Is it true? There is this underground city, and I wonder what's down there.
I don't know if you've ever walked through the hallways of a Star Destroyer before.
Well, we're in the inner sanctum of the Disneyland Matterhorn. Nobody ever gets the chance to see us, only a special few.
So, the Imagineering story is the first part of our Disney Plus segment. Disney Plus. And the Imagineering story is one thing I'm definitely excited about. It's going to be... how many hours did they say it was going to be?
The Imagineering story?
Yeah. It's gonna be like it's gonna be several episodes.
I think it's like 6 hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
Is what I think it is.
From what I'm looking at, I'm just guessing that each one is gonna sort of feature one, kind of focus on one Imagineer. It looks like one episode is gonna sort of be about Bob Gurr. And one episode is going to be about Joe Rohde, and that's how I think it's going to be formatted. I could be wrong, but just from watching that little preview, that seems to be what it's going to be. But, I mean, this is the type of stuff that I really love to see. I love to watch stuff about how they make the attractions and the history and all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I like when the magician gives away his magic secrets.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the Imagineering story. Are you?
Yeah, and just based off of this trailer here, if this is the kind of docu-series that we are going to see on Disney Plus, I mean, I've already signed up, so I mean, I don't need to say sign me up, but I'm in. Yeah. I mean, this is what I expect to see on Disney Plus, and I'm so excited that this is going to be available day one on launch.
Right. So there's another docuseries that was just recently announced, and that is going to be called Behind the Attraction, which from what I'm gathering is going to be, it's going to be 10 episodes, hour long each, and each one is going to focus on one attraction, famous Disney classic attraction, and sort of give a history lesson and all of the, the development, its lore, its legacy, probably take you on the attraction and show you all the details. And it's also going to, according to the description, going to include the fans who obsess over these attractions and do one-on-one interviews with the fan community as well. And this is interesting because it's being produced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who owns a company called $7 Productions, and it's going to be produced in conjunction with another company called the Nacelle Company. And so this is sort of he's sort of spearheading this project along with, who are the other two people in this picture, Ruthie?
The woman is Danny Garcia, and the man, I actually don't know. I don't know his name, but he's part of the Nacelle Company.
Right, so this is because each episode is gonna focus on one attraction, and because this photo has recently been put out there by Disney, in fact, when I did a Google search for Behind the Attraction to find images for this podcast, this is one of the first images that came up. So I'm guessing that one of the episodes is going to focus on the Jungle Cruise, and it's going to be hosted by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and that makes perfect sense because he's the star of the upcoming movie based on the attraction. So it all sort of ties together and it makes sense. Now that's only my speculation. I don't know that to be true. Disney hasn't said that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yeah, so this looks fun. I hope that it's a little bit different than the Imagineering story because this kind of seems similar. So I hope they do a good job of making these two shows a little bit distinctive from each other.
Well, I think this is more going to focus on existing attractions and history, and the other one's going to focus more on Imagineering and designing attractions and not the actual attractions themselves. So I feel it'll be different.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be several other docu-series that we have talked about in previous episodes, but Disney also let out some information since we last discussed this about some other docu-series that they plan on doing, and one of them, which isn't pictured here, is going to be, and it's untitled yet, and they haven't put out any imagery for it yet. It's going to be a Mickey Mouse documentary, and it's going to be hosted by Morgan Neville, and he is the one who did the documentary on Mr. Rogers recently called Won't You Be My Neighbor? So I feel like that'll be interesting. And it's going to sort of take a different look at Mickey Mouse as far as a cultural perspective and the impact he's had on the world. And I feel it's going to look at it from a different and a unique angle than ever before. I mean, this is a topic that's been covered again and again and again, but I just feel like this is going to look at it in a different way. And I'm looking forward to that for sure. Now, pictured here are three of the other ones they recently announced. One of them is called Howard, and it's based on the life of Howard Ashman, who died very young, unfortunately, in the peak of his creative career.
Right.
And he wrote the music for many beloved Disney movies from the Renaissance, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. And also, he wrote music for things predating his work with Disney, probably most significantly, Little Shop of Horrors. And so this is sort of his life story, and it'll be interesting and probably a little bit heartbreaking, too, considering how young he died. The other one is called Science Fair, and I guess this is just going to show different students and their competition in different science fairs around the world. And they're going to compete at the International Science and Engineering Fair, and it's going to just sort of be kind of like a behind-the-curtain look at what goes on backstage at these competitions. So it's going to sort of be like a less cringy version of Toddlers and Tiaras.
Well, I hope so, because this is an Emmy award-winning documentary.
Yeah. So then they're going to have a documentary on Wolfgang Puck, the famous chef, celebrity chef, and the documentary is going to be called Wolfgang. Wolfgang.
How creative. Yeah.
So, one other thing we wanted to briefly mention, and there's not that much out there, but just kind of a little bit of a mention that's sort of been leaked. Or maybe it could even just be a rumor. But me and Ruthie we have our fingers crossed for this. That's why we wanted to put it out there. There is a rumor that they're in talks of doing a sequel to Hocus Pocus, and we don't know if it's going to have new actors or if it's going to have, the original three. I think that all three of them, if they were given a good script, would definitely be game to do it, because they all talk about, if you watch interviews with all of them, they all say that this was their favorite movie they ever did. It was just such a wonderful time for them, and I think some of them have even said they would do a sequel. They would be interested, but it would have to be something that would warrant, like Bette Midler's not going to be in a 2-bit production. It has to be something really great for her to sign up, But if it does happen, I would be all in. Like, I would just get Disney Plus for that.
Well, I mean, this is more than a rumor, because this was reported in Variety. So, but they say that something.
It's just in talks, though. It's just in talks.
Right. Well, it's in development.
So it might not ever happen.
No. Yeah, we don't really know anything about it. Whether is it going to be a show with like multiple episodes? Is it going to be a film? But it's going to be something for Disney Plus. And right now, none of the actresses are attached to it, but Disney is definitely hopeful that they will become involved in some way. So it's basically like the beginning of something that we really hope happens.
Yeah, and it might not. Because because something is in development doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen either. So, but we'll see. So the other thing Disney made a big deal about since the last time we did an episode of Dateline is they released a complete list of basically everything that will be available on Disney Plus on the day that it launches. What day is it launching, Ruthie? I forget.
November 12th.
So that's only in a couple weeks, and it's a list of like 500 titles of movies and series and just basically everything that's going to be included. And I was thrilled about some things, disappointed that some things are missing, and we're not going to read you the list. We'll be here for 5 hours.
I know, right?
But we are just going to sort of mention a few things on the list that we're excited about, and we're going to break it up into 2 categories. The first one being the Disney Vault. What are we excited that's on this list that's being released from the Disney Vault? And also, in my case, what am I disappointed that is not being released from the Disney Vault? In fact, everything that is being released from the quote-unquote Disney Vault, as far as I can see, is already widely available. It's all stuff
Yeah.
that's been out there for quite a while, if you know where to look for it. I mean, there's a couple things that might be a little bit more difficult to find, but for the most part, you're able to buy an old DVD of it on Amazon, or you can stream it on, I don't know if you will be able to anymore after Disney Plus launches, but you could buy it on YouTube and stream it on YouTube. All these old movies are there or on Amazon, and if you really want to watch them, you can watch them. But the thing that's nice about this is you pay a flat rate, which is really inexpensive. Like, normally you would pay like $2 to have access to stream it for like 48 hours, right? Now you pay like, what, $8 a month, and you have...
Oh, it's less than that.
You have all of these titles that you can watch however you want, how many times you want.
Yep.
It's unlimited.
At your fingertips. Yep.
So that's a big difference. So I feel like it's going to open up all of these classic films to a younger generation that hasn't really been exposed to them. So that I'm happy about. Of course, there are some things missing from the list that I'm a little disappointed about as far as films. And one of them I just noticed off the top of my head that was missing was the 1979 comedy North Avenue Irregulars, which is one of my favorites. Disney, if you're listening, add it to the list.
They just recently played that on their, their quarterly viewing on the classic movie channel. They just recently played that film.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's not included. It doesn't. It just seems so random. Some of the ones, like, the majority of them are included, but there's just a few random ones that are missing from the list, which just seems very strange to me. The other thing that I'm disappointed about is a definite lack of television, early television. Like, there's nothing from the Disneyland TV series, A Wonderful World of Color. There's no original Mickey Mouse Club. These are all things I was hoping would be included, and it just seems like there's none of it being included. That doesn't mean that it won't be in the future.
Right.
But I hope that it will be, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? So, what are your thoughts about the Disney Vault offerings?
Well, I'm definitely excited about a lot of these older, like, live-action films, like, like
See,
Swiss
I've
Family
seen them all,
Robinson.
but I know you haven't.
Right.
Like, I've seen all of them.
I've seen most of these too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're going to have Davy Crockett on there. They're going to have Zorro on there. The Parent Trap, which is one of my favorite. I've definitely seen that multiple times. They're going to have, like, the Shaggy Dog movies. They're going to have all of the Herbie movies. And, like, a little bit more obscure, like Candle Shoe and, things like that. I really am glad that they're going to have all of these. But you're right. These have been available to own or view in some other way. But the good thing about it is
it's more accessible.
You can, one place where you can see all of these films. So I'm really glad about that. And also, all of the Star Wars movies are going to be on here, which is the first time that they've been available to stream anywhere. So you could not, unless you owned actual disc copies of these
movies too, right?
I'm not sure if they're going to be available right away, because I know those are on other streaming services, so they might not be available day one. But definitely the Star Wars ones are. They're going to have the Disney Afternoon cartoon series, so that's Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gummy Bears, all of these things. I'm so glad that they're going to be releasing this on here, and
Bonkers?
I didn't see Bonkers, but maybe. Oh yeah, yes, Bonkers is going to be on there.
It is.
Yep. Yes.
They're going to have a lot of the 90s and early 2000s Disney Channel series, which Ruthie and I are a little too old for. We were already grown up when, like, we weren't watching the Cheetah Girls.
Right.
But a lot of people a little bit younger than us will be excited about that because they grew up with those things. So I'm happy for.
My daughter is very excited about having, like, all the High School Musical films, Camp Rock, you know, things like that. Lemonade Mouth, that's one of her favorites, is Lemonade Mouth. That's a Disney Channel original movie. But she is so excited about being able to have all of those available, you know, and just being able to watch it whenever. The other thing is the Muppet movies are on here.
Yeah.
And that's really cool too, to have all of those here. Just, again, being able to watch them whenever you like. So I'm just really, I'm pleased with what they are making available November 12th. I think this is a really good start. And let me emphasize start, because I don't think that they need to stop at this list. Should not be an all-encompassing list. So.
Okay, so let's talk about the new offerings. What are you most excited about, Ruthie?
Well, the number one thing that I'm most excited about is The Mandalorian. And we can talk about that a little bit more in detail in a little bit, but that's my number one thing. But actually, I'm kind of excited to watch, you know, the live action Lady and the Tramp. And I think that that encore show looks really cool. And of course, the World According to Jeff Goldblum, those look really cool too. So, I mean, pretty much all of the new stuff I'm really excited to watch, and I will watch all of it.
So I'm mostly excited about the two documentaries we just mentioned, the Imagineering and the attraction documentaries. Plus, I'm excited about the encore, and I talked about that before because I sort of have a personal connection to that, because that's going to be about sort of bringing back together people who had been in different high school productions as grown adults and recreating those productions. And as a theater geek from my college years, that sort of definitely hits at my heartstrings. I'm also curious about the Jeff Goldblum documentary, because I really like Jeff Goldblum a lot. And so I'm curious about his take on the world, so I probably will enjoy watching that. Yeah, I mean, I'll watch the other things, but those are probably my biggest things that I'm most excited about. I'm not excited about remakes of old movies at all. I'm done. I'm just... I'm sick of it, so I'm not looking forward to Lady and the Tramp. I might not even watch it at all, just in protest. Yeah, I'm sick of it.
If you're gonna redo it, though, to me, like, I'd rather have it on Disney Plus than in the theater.
I'd rather have it underground.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, like, get rid of it.
But if they're gonna do it, like, put it on Disney Plus. Don't try and put it in the theater and, you know, just, I mean, you're doing it to death. But yeah,
that
I
Noel
feel like
movie, I'm not. It seems too Lifetimey to me. Like,
oh well, I watched the trailer at D23.
Yeah.
I've watched the trailer for all of these things at D23, and so it really did get me excited.
Well, I mean, it's fine. I don't have a problem with Noel. I just feel like there's nothing all that. I mean, if it's on, I might watch it. Well, I guess it's a different thing. You don't just turn it on, and if it's on,
you don't turn it on. You have to actually choose it.
If it's like, you know, December 15th and I'm bored and I want something Christmassy, I might check it out. But I mean, it's not like something I'm all that thrilled about. It just seems like all the Lifetime movies that have just sort of been oversaturated. Like, I could care less about those Lifetime movies anymore. I mean, originally I thought they were fun, but now it's just so overdone. Like, every year they have like 20 new ones, and it's crazy. I'm done with it. Enough of, like, people, oh, it's winter and we're falling in love and everybody's beautiful and oh, and...
Well, there's more to this than a love story, because it's Bill Hader is the son of Santa Claus, and she is
like the Santa
daughter.
Claus movies.
Yeah.
With Tim Allen, it's like if the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies married a Lifetime Christmas movie, this would be their baby. That's how I feel
think this
about
is going to
it.
be cute and fun and very festive and holiday-ish.
I'm sure it will be cute and fun, but it's not my go-to. I probably wouldn't hate it if I watched it, but it's not like something I'm excited about either.
Yeah.
So speaking about excitement, here's something that Ruthie is very excited about.
Yeah.
Is the world more peaceful since the revolution? It is a shame that your people suffered. But bounty hunting is a complicated profession. They said you were coming. They said you were the best in the parsec. Would you agree? Mandalorian, look outside. They are waiting for you. Yeah? Good.
Okay, Ruthie, go.
Well, this was the new trailer that they just released today.
Yeah.
The same day we're recording, they released
We
this
added
trailer.
it in last minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is just really exciting. Kind of going back to what I said about the other Star Wars trailer. Same thing here. They're showing you clips of things to get you excited, but they're not really telling you anything about the story, which I'm glad.
As far as previews, like just the construction, not even talking about the content of the actual series, it is a well done trailer. It gets you excited without giving too much away, which is what every trailer should strive to be.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm already excited about this. I have been excited, and I mean, I'm going to be watching that first episode that's available on November 12th. I've also heard that supposedly there's some big Star Wars spoiler in that first episode, so I have no idea what that's going to be, but you know, on November 12th, it's going to be all over the internet, so I don't know.
Now, are
if
they
that's
releasing
spoiled.
the whole thing in one chunk, or like
No,
a regular series,
they're gonna be-
one a week? Or...
They're going to release one on the 12th, and then I guess one a few days later, and then they're going to do it weekly. And then I think there's I want to say there's 8 episodes.
What I'm just so amazed by is just how theatrical. It doesn't look like a television production. It looks so like high budget.
Oh, it is.
Something
yes.
that would be in a theater, not an original thing produced for streaming or for TV or something like that. So I'm impressed with that.
Yeah. No, this is top notch. Like, this is to really, grab that Star Wars fan. And,
this is what Disney is pushing to get their subscriptions.
Yes.
So they're putting all of their money and energy into this. This is their baby. This is their big deal for this new thing. So they're sparing no expense.
Yeah, and they've already announced there's going to be a second season of the show as well. So that's another thing. And then also, they're making all of these new Marvel series that are going to be starting to be released in 2020. Yeah. And you can bet that those series are going to look at least as good, if not better. So, you're getting quality. Yeah. So I'm excited.
I hope the quality stays and the subscription rates don't go up.
Yeah.
I hope they don't, grab you and then do a switch. What do they call that? A bait and switch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
as it is now, it's totally affordable for me.
Right.
If they raise it to $25 a month or something, I can't do that.
I don't think they're going to do that. At least in the first 3 years because
Well,
I
yeah,
signed
but
up
after
for
3 years,
3-year
who knows?
subscription.
Yeah.
I mean, they will probably raise the price, but it's not going to go from $6.99 to $25. So
well, I'm, exaggerating
Yeah.
to make a point, but, I just hope they don't trick you into getting hooked on it and then they raise the price after they've got you where they want you. I just hope it's not one of those deals, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So let's talk about this and that. So this is our new segment, which is sort of replacing our rapid fire segment, because we sort of felt like, about that concept and that title. Like, if we want to talk about it for a long time, then we will.
Yeah.
Have it. Just because it's a random topic, if we want to go off, we don't want to feel rushed. So,
Right.
And if we want to be rushed, we can be rushed, but if we don't have to. So that's why we changed the name to This and That.
Yeah.
So we have 3 This and That's this episode. And some of them are sort of timely because there's some things coming up real soon. Well, actually, all of them are. They're all coming up in early November. So the first one looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I bet you this is going to be available on Disney Plus after maybe a couple months.
Probably,
After it's already been shown. But this is going to be a live, how they recently, past 10 years or so, been doing the live musicals on TV in prime time. Like they did the Peter Pan a few years ago. They did The Sound of Music. They did Grease. They've done a few other. They did The Wiz.
Yeah.
So this is the same idea, but it's going to be The Little Mermaid, and I think it's going to be based on the Broadway version. And it's got an all-star cast, including one of my favorites, Queen Latifah, who is perfectly cast to play Ursula. Like, that alone would get me to watch it. But then the fact that the girl, how do you pronounce her name? She was Moana.
Gravalo.
Yeah, right. I had trouble the last time.
Yeah.
But she's playing Ariel, and she was the voice of Moana.
Yeah.
That's great. She has a really good voice too.
She does. Yeah.
And Shaggy, the reggae musician, he's gonna be Sebastian, which I think is adorable.
Yeah. Yep.
And I don't know this actor, but looking at him in the publicity picture, he looks exactly like Eric from the cartoon.
Yes, he does.
And that's Graham Phillips. I guess he was in a series called The Good Wife.
He played the son on The Good Wife, yeah.
He's playing Prince Eric. And as a fantastic cameo appearance, which I'm so excited, John Stamos is going to play the cook, the Le Poisson cook. Does he even have a name? I don't know.
Yeah, Chef Louis. Yeah.
Oh, Chef Louis is going to be played by John Stamos, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is going to be a ratings winner. I'm going to tell you that right now. So this is going to be on November 5th on ABC. I'm guessing at 8 o'clock, as far as I know. So,
it's basically a week from today. Well, we're recording on Tuesday, so yeah.
So, and I'm sure this is going to be available on Disney Plus after a while, too, so... Because I don't have cable TV, so I won't be able to watch it until it's on Disney Plus. So that's something else I can look forward to seeing on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So are you excited are you going to watch this?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'll watch it like live, but I have a DVR and I do have a direct TV, so I'll record it and watch it. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the cast.
Yeah.
So, the other thing coming up very soon is they're having a special event at the Hollywood Bowl. Have you ever seen one of these type of things at the Hollywood Bowl, Ruthie?
I
These
went
Disney
to
type things.
I haven't gone to a Disney thing, but I went to a Sound of Music sing-along at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was so much fun. And if I was living in California right now, I would be going to all of these, especially this one.
They're doing them a lot more often recently, but
they did a Little Mermaid one.
Yeah, they did. But when I was younger, back in the late 80s, it might have been the early 90s, I went to a concert at the Hollywood Bowl that was called a Disney Spectacular, and it was just sort of all sorts of Disney songs, and it was all the arrangements from a CD that had come out about a year before that with the Cincinnati Pops called A Disney Spectacular, and you can still find that CD. But it was all the same type, it was all the same singers and everything. I think it was the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra, but it was the same singers that were on the CD and everything. And they had medleys of songs from, like, they had a Snow White medley, they had a Mary Poppins medley, and then at one point they brought out the a couple of the electrical parade floats on stage.
Oh, cool.
It ended with fireworks, and it was really amazing. It was terrific. And it was at the Hollywood Bowl. So I've done it once, and I have sort of an idea what these things are like, and they're definitely worth the price of admission. They're really fun. And so this one's going to be a concert of all the music from Coco. It's going to be on Friday, November 8th, and Saturday, November 9th. And it's going to have a bunch of performances by different musicians and singers and that are all going to sing the songs from Coco. And I noticed one of the groups that's going to be involved is the Mariachi Divas, and I have some music from them on my website because they've performed at Disneyland before live. They're fantastic. I've mentioned before that I really love Latin American music, so this is something I would really enjoy singing, but seeing also.
Right.
So this is all sort of to commemorate Dia de los Muertos, which is a Mexican holiday where they honor the dead, which technically happens the day after Halloween, All Saints Day, but I guess it sort of is a season thing where it can kind of carry on a few days after. This is a list you're looking at of the different people that will be performing, and I guess they're going to be playing the movie behind them because it's one of those live-to-film concerts. So all the music will be live, but they'll be performing in front of the movie itself. So the movie will be on a screen behind them, as far as I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So what are your feelings about this one, Ruthie?
Like I said, if I lived in this area, I would be in the seats watching this. I love Coco. I love the music. This film is so amazing, stunning, beautiful color, beautiful story, and I wish I could go to this. This gives me a little bit of FOMO because I really am jealous for the people that actually do get to see this. So
okay, Ruthie, you're talking like your daughter.
I know.
That's one of her slang words. I have no idea what FOMO means.
FOMO is fear of missing out.
Oh. I have heard that before, but I forgot what it meant.
Yeah.
Oh, you Generation Y.
Don't call me millennial, because I'm not a millennial. But
no, I'm saying your daughter is a Generation Y because that's how they talk. Anyway, we have one last thing, and this is sort of like my own thing my own event. Kind of. It's not my own event, but it's my own tribute to an event. So coming up this Sunday is Dapper Day at Disneyland. It's twice a year. They do it in the fall and they do it in the spring. And the fall version is happening on November 3rd. And so I decided to create a 90-minute musical tribute to Dapper Day with all sorts of fun show tunes and old songs from the 50s and 40s and 30s that are sort of all about fashion and clothing. Like, for example, Put On Your Sunday Clothes and Top Hat, White Tie and Tails by Fred Astaire, and Putting on the Ritz, and just all sorts of songs that have some sort of a connection with clothing and dressing nice and being dapper. You're always, what's the song from Annie? You're never fully dressed without a smile. That's one of the songs on there. So I just came up with a whole fun collection of songs. And if you want to check this out, it's available on our podcast, our regular podcast website. And what is that, Ruthie? It's Jiminy Cricket. jcricketpodcast.blogspot.com. Right. You can find it there. You can also find it on the Roarbots. I posted it over there as well. And so be sure to check that out. And it's also on my website if you want to just hear the music. I made a video that shows what the songs are that are playing, but you can also just listen to it on my website on my holiday time chapter. So it's just my little way of appreciating Dapper Day at Disneyland. So be sure to check that out.
Fun.
So that brings us to the ending of another fun-filled episode of Dateline Jiminy Crickets for October. And we will be back in late November, around Thanksgiving time, to bring you the news for this coming month. Meanwhile, we will have a brand new episode of our regular audio Jiminy Cricket show, and we're going to do a tribute to Disneyland 59, and we're going to have a special guest on that episode. Lynn Barron from the Sweep Spot podcast is going to join us on that episode. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And
yes, we love having Lynn on.
Yes, he's a terrific guest. We love all our guests that we've ever had. Equally.
Yes.
Different, but equally. So, Ruthie, where can everybody find Jiminy Crickets on the web?
You can listen to all of our past shows, including audio versions of Dateline Jiminy Crickets, on our website, jcricketpodcast.blogspot.com. You can also listen to us on iTunes under the name Jiminy Crickets. That's with an exclamation point, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. On our YouTube channel, we share updates to the Disney Chris website, including the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, as well as past episodes of the Jiminy Crickets podcast and Dateline Jiminy Crickets. You can find our channel if you search for DisneyChris.com. And remember, .com is spelled out D-O-T-C-O-M. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell. You can also join in the conversation over on our Facebook page, Jiminy Crickets Podcast, where you can not only interact with Chris and me and all the fellow Cricketeers, but you can also stay up to date on all the latest details of our many World Wide Web endeavors. In addition to all the normal places you have always found our podcast, you can now also find us at the Roarbots, a unique website celebrating all aspects of geek culture, including Disney fandom. We are proud to be a part of this motley crew of pop culture superfans, and we share an episode of our podcast there each and every Thursday. So be sure to check out this amazing website at www.theroarbots.com. If you would like to contact the show with your comments or questions, our email address is disneychris.com@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Oh, Ruthie, you almost did
I know,
it.
I almost made it.
Well, it wouldn't be Ruthie without a little bit of fun at the end.
What can I say? I'm sorry.
Well, it's my turn, Ruthie. Let's see if I
Go
can
ahead.
get through it.
Jinx.
Well, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to look at it and say it in my own words. So we're on Instagram now. We have been for a while. And it is Disney_JC_podcast. And on there, I periodically post images of fun Disney things that I come across on the web. And I also post updates to, all of our different activities, such as I'll be putting an update about this podcast on Instagram and all of our other podcasts. When we release them, I put some pictures and notify everybody on Instagram. So it's a good way to follow our activities. Also, if I add music to my website, I usually will let the Instagrammers know about it over there. On Twitter, I'm at DisneyChris73. And on Facebook, Ruthie Brown is under the name, get this, Ruthie Brown. and I'm Chris Linden, and I'm, get this, under the name Chris Linden. And that's spelled Lyndon, as in the dead president, Lyndon Johnson. My website is DisneyChris.com. And on there, I do the Disney Song of the Day. And this November, I'm doing a week of Mickey Mouse songs for Mickey's birthday. And around Thanksgiving, I'm doing a whole week of Thanksgiving-themed songs. So be sure to check that out. And I also have the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour on my website, which has nearly 1,700 audio tracks from Disneyland that you can listen to at any time. And let's mention Patreon. Patreon is a way to help support what we do. And we appreciate all donations, be it $1 or $25, whatever is best for you. And we give out special rewards depending on what level you choose to contribute at. If you choose to contribute at the $5 level, we have an exclusive podcast called Down the Rabbit Hole, which is released monthly. And we also have a commentary of Disney cartoon every month. We kind of do it, we show the cartoon and we kind of discuss it as we're watching it. And I release all of the music from the Disney Song of the Day. And then at the $10 level, you get an extra commentary, which is a episode of the Disneyland television program. And Ruthie, Brian, and I kind of show the program, and then we kind of talk over it and discuss it while we're watching it. So you get that. And then we also are creating a special mug that we'll be giving out to our supporters. So be sure to check us out at Patreon. That's patreon.com/DisneyChris. And if you're not comfortable donating through Patreon, you can also go to my website and disneychris.com/donate.html, and from there you can find my PayPal option, and you can make a one-time, or you can even do a recurring PayPal donation, just like a Patreon, but you can do it through PayPal. And if you do it through PayPal, you will get the same rewards as if you did it through Patreon. So you'll still have access to all the goodies, even if you don't like using Patreon for whatever reason. So, Ruthie, do you have any final words for today?
Happy Halloween, everybody. And to quote Walt Disney, laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, dreams are forever.
And always let your conscience be your guide.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C.
See you real soon.
K-E-Y.
Why? Because we like you.